So the world is literally on fire, and we have a bunch of people in Manhattan with the UN talking about peace with our lame duck president.
Since October 7, we've also been determined to prevent a wider war that engulfs the entire region. Hezbollah, unprovoked, during the October 7 attack, launching rockets into Israel. Almost a year later, too many on each side of the Israeli-Lebanon border remain displaced. Full-scale war is not in anyone's interest. Even if the situation has escalated, a diplomatic solution is still possible. As we look ahead, we must also address the rise of violence against innocent Palestinians on the West Bank and set the conditions for a better future, including a two-state solution.
A two-state solution has been proposed by America and other countries like 4 times in the last 30 years. It's been rejected by Hamas or Hezbollah or Iranian proxies every single time. The problem is and then what? You can't just say, well, let's have world peace. It happens to be, you need a catalyst to help that along. These people at the UN have no idea what they're doing. Name me one accomplishment of the UN in the last 20 years that actually forwarded world peace, like specifically. The experts, scholars, foreign leaders, overpaid consultants, white paper authors. I am going to give you a map to solving world peace in the next 5 minutes. The first thing, you have to define your enemies. Iran, its proxies, Houthis, Hezbollah, Taliban, other various terrorist offshoots like ISIS. These are our enemies. They want every American, Republican and Democrat alike, to die. They don't care about your virtue signaling parades, justice for Palestine. They don't care about what political party you're affiliated with. They just want to kill every American. Most of this is religious fanaticism with a desire for Islamic supremacy. That's not racist. That's just a fact. But the people in the White House don't understand that. Now, barring eliminating them in their entire region, which you're not going to do this at this time, you cannot defeat this. You just have to keep it at bay, like Donald Trump showed the leader of the Taliban a picture of his home and said, if you mess with us, I'm going to send a rocket into your house. And it worked. That's the only way to deal with these people, with force. The second thing is defining our adversaries. They don't necessarily want to destroy us. They just want to be superior to us. China, probably the first one on this list, followed by Russia. And it's shocking to me that nobody in the White House has taken 30 seconds to sit down and define these things. Look, China is a communist country. Communists want total control. They don't need to kill everybody. They do sometimes. But they are seeking to financially leverage America so they can control enough debt and we have enough liabilities that they can destabilize us. They hoped COVID would have helped that along the way. Once America is financially compromised, and we are super close to that, by the way, China will invade Taiwan because if they control Taiwan, they control 90% of the semiconductors that go into our computers that control everything in our economy. But part 2, and this is why Russia and China are working together right now, what is Ukraine the primary producer of? Neon. What the heck is neon and what does that do? Neon just so happens to be one of the most important things to produce semiconductors. So if Russia rolls over Ukraine and China isn't good with them, they have an unlimited supply of neon for when they take control of Taiwan, which you know they're going to try to do if Kamala Harris wins. And they will control 99% of the things we need for all of our electronics. You see how this works? They are playing chess while Biden is playing tiddlywinks. Also, when we left Afghanistan, China just casually strolled in and tapped into a $1.5 trillion lithium deposit in that country that we didn't touch, by the way. So they could make the batteries for the electric cars that Biden and Kamala Harris are mandating you to drive over the next 5 years. Keep in mind, our adversaries don't have elections, so they can just do whatever they want. There's no constitution in those countries. People like Ronald Reagan, Donald Trump, they understood this. Ronald Reagan based his policy largely on military superiority, but also had a financial strategy, much like China right now, like what China's doing right now. You think the space race against Russia was all about getting to the moon? No. The space race was also about getting the Soviet Union to spend themselves into oblivion while trying to keep up with the interstellar innovation of America, real or perceived. So we've accomplished just now, folks, in 3 minutes, what no one at the White House, all the think tanks and everything, haven't done in 3.5 years. So now let's talk about fixing it, which is kind of part 3. Actual world peace, not just some speech about it. I have enforced foreign policy for the U.S. in like dozens of countries, okay? Dealing with our enemies consists of old men talking and young men dying. And whoever can kill off enough young people or scare enough old people wins. So you really want to solve the problem? The next time Iran has a Death to America rally in its streets, you send in 1,000 Tomahawk missiles and level Main Street in Tehran. And I'm sure they'll stop doing that. Oh, Carl, you're going to make them hate us. They already hate us. That's why they're chanting Death to America. Who cares? They don't respect us, so we have to make them fear us. But you only have to do that once. And as for our adversaries, China can produce a pair of shoes for like 5 cents on the dollar because they don't care that a 7-year-old is making it. Meanwhile, we have our labor unions here in America asking for 70% raises and people peeling avocados demanding $20 an hour. We're not competitive in the labor market, and China knows that. But we can be. And this is where Trump has been magnificently correct and simple. First, out-innovate them. And look, if I was in charge, here's an idea. Hey, any company headquartered employing Americans here in America that invents, fusion power will have 0 taxes levied on them for their employees for 10 years. If you come out with a policy like that, you will have fusion power by Monday. And second, drill, baby, drill. If we're not dependent on any other country for oil, we can leverage that against any adversary. No one will want to go toe-to-toe with us, by the way. Our economy will soar. And this is going to be controversial, but if we're giving billions of dollars in foreign aid, it's high time to pre-negotiate, especially countries we're going to war in, like Iraq, we compensate with their country's natural resources. If they want to hate us for that, that's fine. They can hate us for free then. No, it won't cost us anything anymore. Because I'm done caring about the delegation of Congo and how it feels about our foreign policy. By the way, I feel we should have pumped every ounce of oil out of the country in Iraq while my brothers and sisters were dying over there. And I really am less concerned about how the UN feels about that. And same with Russia, Ukraine. Look, Vladimir Putin wants to get away with as much as he can to reconstitute the Soviet Union. And the reason we just saw Zelensky, who snubbed Donald Trump, by the way, by saying that he doesn't have a plan and that he called J.D. Vance too radical, is because Zelensky knows exactly what their plan is. Which, whether you like it or not, when you're negotiating from a point of weakness, which right now Ukraine is, unfortunately, is you may need to give something up. This is just the reality of war. But the fact that a foreign leader was flown into our country, into America, on our C-17 to go to an American munition factory to sign an artillery round that will be used to kill young men, then talks poorly about the next president potentially the next president of the United States, that's disturbing. Whereas Kamala Harris doesn't demand any results, and she's going to continue to pump endless money to every country around the world, some of it with no accountability. That's not a plan. Look, neither side is accomplishing anything here, so compromises on both sides in Russia and Ukraine might have to be made to end that war. But I'm coming from a position that I don't want endless money poured into a conflict with no solution. And at this rate, the rate this administration is going, I'm fearful that eventually American troops will be sent there, just like they're being sent back to the Middle East right now, after they said they weren't. But most importantly, you need to back all that up with a world that thinks you may drop a bomb on anyone at any time. You do that, the world will be oddly peaceful. But this White House doesn't have those conversations because they don't actually care about world peace. They care about expanding government. This is not hard. It can be done. Donald Trump did it. But no one makes money off world peace. That's why the swamp fears Trump. They fear he's going to end this multi-trillion-dollar gravy train to stop our sons and daughters from coming home in boxes.